Elena Malkhatka, who's been working with KTH and her live-in lab, looking at how do buildings and property become much, much more smarter. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Elena. Take it away, Elena.
Hello, everyone. It's always fun about this smart home, and I would like today pitch where we had this conversation about what is smart or not. Actually, in the world of technology, we want to call things smart. In the world of human, if you go to design world, they want to talk supportive home, responsive home, how we say today, cozy home, and so on. So I'm doing my PhD. Actually, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for inviting, and it's great to be in front of you. Let's breathe a bit and just a bit do some exercise to listen quite interesting information. So I'm really happy to present my PhD area, because I normally talk about VR, but it's only part of my research. I actually try to work with smart buildings and try to understand what is smart building, how we can move to more like human buildings. Idea that's when I just work in the industry, I work for almost 5 years with companies like E.ON and Schneider Electric. I found this interesting diagram. It's quite old, it's for US market, but it actually shows the big data index potential. And do you see this loser on the bottom? Construction industry. The lowest index of using of big data as a technology. What's actually mean? Yeah, we use a couple of sensors, temperature, humidity, HVC data, but according to, for example, transportation, you understand the difference. Car today is a software in the hardware. Home today is still a piece of stone with a couple of sensors. And that's where I start to think, okay, how I can really, why actually? Because we have a lot of sensors, right? We have a lot of devices, we increase the amount of devices, but it still doesn't work. From data, we don't go to this knowledge and wisdom output, which we all talk about. And as we mentioned, several speakers mentioned that we still don't have air quality at place, water quality at place, noise pollution at place. Why we only discuss all these things? Why it actually doesn't work how we want? And there are several barriers which actually IBM Research Center identified, and I absolutely agree with them. In the end of the day, it's a lack of knowledge. Of knowledge. It's lack of knowledge about data, because between engineer, ICT engineer, and data scientist is a huge gap. Because data scientists want to raw data, that's why they're all in banking system. And ICT engineers, they work with the sensors and network design instead of like thinking about data. And it's a huge gap in knowledge. Also organization-wise, how many of you have team of data scientists? Oh, so bad. Okay, several. What means that we have just lack of knowledge around a lot of things. And I was really happy to find a project where I can come and test ideas and work with different applications. Actually, this is a real building, 3 buildings in the campus of KTH. And we have 4 apartments with a very high density of research. What means that people live there, they do their daily life, they are students, and we explore what they're doing, how they're doing, we're testing things. We're testing actively in 4 apartments, and we can scale on 300 more apartments. What's actually mean, that's not only talking about theories, it's actually trying to come and build, because reality is very, very inertial, and we really need to understand that sometimes it's not easy to implement what we're talking about. Talking about data, we have a lot of traditional data, like HVC, smart meters, like lifts, lighting. And when I started to dig to what is data we have in the building, I found that, yeah, we have a lot of traditional BMS data, we have a lot of external data, we have some business data, which is primarily bills and so on. Okay, it's a very long time. I needed to be smart to just make one slide. We start to have more and more sustainability data, and almost now we come to users' data. And I will show you one interesting slide after this. This is a data landscape we actually generate as a data inside the building. But now let's talk about utilization versus volume. If we come to any like smart building or building where we care about data, we have a lot of BMS data. It's data from our ventilation system and so on. Then we come to the business data, then only we come to users' data, and then we come to sustainable data, and only then we come to external data. Now attention, volume. Any guess? PAMs, users' data. We generate more data than our sensors. What means that we are a big sensor in the end of the day. We don't explore how much we generate as users. Only then we come to building data, external data, business data, and then sustainability. Of course, it's depends on the building, but this is a very average picture of the buildings today. Sorry, but I need to show data pipeline. Because in the end of the day, we have different types of data. We have different types of what we do with this data. And we have different kind of applications. And when I try to come back to this big data index value, I found that only 2 areas actually work with the big data in the building pipeline. It's user experience and new business models. What means if you really want to make your building intelligent, you need to focus on these 2 areas because that's where we work with the image recognition, we work with the video analysis, we work with the sound-based solutions. It's about users and it's about new things. And that's where we can actually start to talk about big data in the building. The rest is kind of temperature, humidity, very simple things. It's not big data. It's not even like any complexity behind this. So that's where I start to think more and more about that users are big potential to explore. And I start to really dig deeper about general concepts about machine efficiency, and I found that there is almost nothing about human efficiency. We'll talk about exponential technologies, machine automation, more efficient, faster, zero latency. That's amazing. It's great to develop technologies. What about human? How much your technology development accelerate human? And in preliminary research with the users, a lot of users said to me that we don't want to have a smart home, Elena. We want to be smart by ourselves. We want to be smarter people. How your technology can make me better, can make me perform better, can make me maybe sleep better, meet my social needs. And almost now I want to talk about exponential human design or human development. And that's where I start to think that this is actually an area to work around, how we can really balance technologies we design for human. Without compromising with the machine excellence. And that's actually an area which almost only a few companies really work on the balancing. Because again, in the end of the day, users don't want to feel stupid in a smart home. They don't want to feel that something smarter than them. And now we have a huge friction on the market from the user side. They don't want smart home. Again, cozy home, supportive home. They want to meet family, not sensors in the end of the day, right? And that's where I start to feel more that I need to focus more on this side, which is really unexplored. We have behavioral science, but it's not correlated with the technological development. We have engineers who develop sensors and tech-oriented products and services, and we have people who work only with UX. For me, actually, I can tell that only one company I can tell that they are really focused on this area. It's Apple. They want people, they want to produce technology which develop people, make people smarter, and so on. And also about these areas when discussed with some people, like more like futurists. Okay, this is kind of area where we shouldn't go because it's a super machine era. This is more like superhuman era. Both are quite dangerous. So, and in our research, we try to kind of focus how our technologies develop both system innovation and human augmentation. Yeah, actually, we can call to what's called transhuman in the end of the day. I will show you one slide, which probably I will be fired tomorrow from KTH, but actually, we can learn something from the very old, like, not call it science, but area where alchemistry said in 16th century that experiment not happening if you don't transform people. And why people in 16th century really understand that you cannot do innovation, if you want to call, without innovating people. And only today we start to kind of question it, but it was very well known in 16th century. And for me, it's kind of idea which I try to reflect in my research, how we can innovate both in the building system and with the human systems. Okay, that's where I start to design my research from the user's comfort perspective, and based on the beginning on the well-being standard. Of course, we talk about resource efficiency. That's where we work with the BREEAM LEED standard. And of course, it's about market readiness, because we have a lot of technologies today which are so nice, but we are not seeing them in the market. What's wrong? And that's where we need to take into consideration the realism of visions we built, smartness of the buildings, intelligence, which can be actually adapted, scaled, and applied for the buildings today. And of course, I work with the building environment context. And of course, it could be also transformed to city environment as a scale up. And between these two, we have sustainable behavior modeling, because we want a user build habits around some services. Of course, we talk about sustainable business models from B2B and B2C. Okay, I will build a bit accelerates because it's important to be in time. So research logic, we have user, we have users data, we have building, we have buildings data. We have kind of feedback loop between user and building. What is the best way to build feedback loop in dynamic way? Of course, we add some more data, but I start to found that living services is kind of way to think about dynamical dialogue between user and building. And talking about service domain logic, we have value co-creation in the focus, and it's really, really important to understand that we're not smartest people on the planet to design for them. We need to ask people what they actually want. And it's about also different types of how we plan to co-create value with our users. And this also should be methodolized and institutionalized. What is interesting that we had several speakers today talking about, for example, service design approach, like from the Every, where you need to really go one way, then we have data scientific approach, when we need to go to another way. From this way we go data, then we build models, then we build experience, and then we build users experimentation. You see, it's two different ways. Because these guys going from this way, they start with users, they do experience, they build some models, and they create some data generation. It's two different ways, an idea that's almost no one tried to synchronize these two processes, which are going in different dimensions. I'm actually now writing an article exactly about this method. I'm finishing. Very fast, I will tell you that it's important to take a context of the different types. Is it too much? No, because you're like...
So, thanks. I speak at 180 words per minute. She speaks at 243, I think. I'm trying to count. I'm almost thinking, Elena, shouldn't we have a conversation instead? So have a seat. Can
I just, one last
Show one last thing and we're going to speak for 3 minutes, okay?
I just want to tell you that I can just show you my favorite service, which I'm testing right now, which I want you focus on. Do you know that 2 weeks ago, Facebook launched the new division called Building X? How many of you know that Facebook actually have a division called Building 8? Strange. Okay, you know, that's great. One person, maybe two. Isn't it strange that Facebook aggressively come into the construction industry? Because they have a data where they can build social services around, and they can really propose solutions based on our needs. They understand who we are. They have so much data about us. Who will succeed? People who understand sensors, or people who understand people? That's a question.
Wonderful. Have a seat. Have a seat. So, there's so much passion. Don't you agree? It's great that you're doing this. Now, I wanted to understand the test you're doing either at Hobbo or at KTH. Can you just share, how do you do the test and what have you learned so far?
Yeah, first of all, idea of all living labs around Europe, around the world, that we want to we want to bring science as close as we can to markets, because 1 of 3,000 ICT products coming to the market only. 1 out of 3,000. That's why we try to test things on the real market.
And why is that? Is it because people market is not reachable and accessible, or is it because people still very technology focused?
Because we design things isolatedly from the context, and a lot of scientific research showed that if you exclude context, you exclude so many factors which then can bring you to the fail, not to the success.
So you're doing it in silos, you're not putting users in the middle, and there's no sort of a platform that gives you the distribution.
Exactly, and problem not only about users, we have a lot of this focus group approaches, but still context of the market. In Facebook, I learn a lot now. They use a lot of understanding of users and their network and different causal effects, because in the end of the day, there are so many things which influence on the final decision. What's make our isolated labs not efficient for the market. That's why we need to go to the market. We need to learn all these frictions. We need to understand what is the real problem. And of course, when we plan, everything looks super great and smooth. But where is all these things if they're so simple? What's mean that we need to implement research to the market and test everything into the real world reality.
Right. One last question. If you had to sort of dream if you had to give one tip to all the guys working with buildings and sort of generating data, what would that be?
Yeah, start with users. The same, like Apple start with users, they did a great job. What's wrong with the building industry? One small thing I can add about building people, if you have some of them. When people design a spaceship, they have a mission to bring people back to the Earth, right? They care about people. They start designing the spaceship from the user prospect, because this is a national idea, it's a safety and so on. Why when we design building, the last what we think about is user? We think about materials, about logistic, about regulation and so on. And user. I think we need to just switch it and start with the user, because we, in the end of the day, live in this building. That's our life, everyday life. And I think that we need to redesign the approach, how we think about it, and make it mass market, not just some marketing cases.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elena. Putting the human back in the middle again. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.